G'day everybody, January the 1st, 2023, pretty unbelievable, but there we go. I hope you survived New Year's Eve, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to YouTube and you're watching it there, please subscribe, that helps us. And if you're on Facebook and you're not part of the like routine, if you can like GGR Facebook page, that'd be kind of cool. So pretty much not much has changed in terms of what we've been expecting, although this little low pressure here is going to come down and whack Elliott shortly, so that's kind of interesting. We'll start off at the back end of the fleet here now and see how Guy is going. He looks as if he's heading south to hopefully get some more breeze, because he's been struggling again a few days ago, but he's been sailing the last few days doing 7.2 knots, heading southeast straight down, so he's made 133 nautical miles in the last 24 hours, so that's not too bad, and he's got a bit of breeze there as well, so that's pretty good. Elliott now got a bit more breeze, but he's still only showing 3.1 knots, remembering he's in 2 reefs on the main and just the staysail. He's got nothing up front at all, so not making huge speed, and this thing's coming down on him, so we'll just come back a bit so we can follow the progress of the weather of both Elliott and Guy going forward for the next 48 hours or so. So coming into tomorrow, you can see what's happening here. In fact, I probably need to just quickly come back to Elliott and explain a bit more. But Guy's got plenty of breeze there after one day, and then on the second day, he's got some light winds coming across as well. And that low that hit Elliott has disappeared completely. It's coming through very fast, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So just to give you a heads up, we've given him 2 lots of warnings on this. We gave him another one today because it's changed a little bit. And get a bit of rubbish on the screen there. So I'll just run this through hour by hour, and you'll see how fast it's moving. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It intensifies as it's coming down. Elliott will be a little bit further forward, so you might miss the worst of it. I've also checked this on the windy side, and around about here he's getting sort of 45 knot gusts, blowing 30 constantly, gusting 45, and then it pretty quickly turns into being a 55, gusting 55 or maybe even a bit more. Seas heading up around 5 to 6 meters, and maybe even bigger occasionally. And the trick with this one is this is a little bit reminiscent of what used to happen in 2018, where you get this little center. It's not as intense because it's not going all the way around, but it's still a distortion, and he's right on the distortion point here, and you'll see he's right on the edge. It just goes on. So 2 things to consider. One is that it is going to blow hard. It's going to move fast. The wind direction is going to change very rapidly when he's about this point, and it can produce some very dangerous seas in this area here. But the main thing to remember is the position of this may not be reality. Remembering there's only a few floating buoys out in the Southern Ocean. This is computer modelling. I've looked at the other models on windy. It's all pretty consistent. He's going to get hit and hit hard. And it is moving fast. So this is going to be this is a question mark here. What's going to happen when you get into these seas? Because even when you have 50 knots, 55 knots, 6 meter seas, and then the wind drops to nothing, they can actually curl over and be quite challenging. So anyway, he's well aware of what's coming, and he's strapping the boat down. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that one for Elliott. Okay, so back to, and it does move pretty quick. So it's basically a 24-hour cycle, and it's all completely gone. He's back into southwesterlies. So it'll depend on exactly where he is in the scheme of things in this area here, what sort of sea state he's going to get, and the wind's going to be coming down, pretty intense from the north and then rolling around to the southwest. But he's strapped down. Anyway, he might end up on 3 reefs in the main instead of 2 in the staysail. So that's pretty cool. Come back to our real-time weather here. Ian actually called in today, because even though not called in, he sent us a message. It's over now, but about 6 hours ago he was getting an intense weather system here, really strong winds. It went for about 6 hours, and he sent a message to say, hey, is there anything up? And he's getting hammered, but it's dropped off. He sent another one 6 hours later, so yeah, it's all gone. So it was very localized, but he was wondering what caused that. But there was nothing to show for it. The forecast winds there 25 knots, 20, 25. Jeremy, we alerted him to this one coming through. It's not a big wind shift in direction. He's had solid breezes, 40s, 45s, gusting 45s, maybe some more, and good solid 5 metre seas. But he's pretty good at that now, so fingers crossed. That's all working okay. This is the real-time weather now. And then we talk about Kirsten, Avalish, Simon, and Gugg coming in. So I'll just quickly progress through on Ian and Jeremy, so you can see what's going to happen there. This is by tomorrow. You can see Jeremy's in the clear. He's gone through it all okay, and Ian's pretty much the same as well. There's plain sailing there in 24 hours time, and in a couple of days, this is a couple of days ahead, it's the same again. Ian might slow down a bit, but Jeremy's got a nice breeze to let him relax for a few days after a hectic New Year's Eve. Okay, so let's go into where you probably already see Simon's already turned the corner in New Zealand, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in fact, I'll leave Gugg till the end, and we'll now look at the lead pack. Oh, that's interesting. There's like a bit of a river going down there, but that's not today's weather. This is today's weather, and as you saw, no doubt, if you're watching, Kirsten pretty much parked for a while there. She's still only doing 2.7 knots, so she's got at the moment it's east-northeasterly breeze, so she doesn't want to go down too far. She's got to get around the snares just here, so not favourable sailing for her. Simon's done pretty well to get around the bottom of New Zealand, and he's obviously holding in tight to try and decrease the impact of the headwinds, but he's doing pretty well. Makes me think that the wind direction here may not be as it's showing, but nonetheless he's doing okay. He's doing 4.7 knots, going right in around Stewart Island, and he'll come out and tack out here at some point. And meanwhile, he's made a huge break on Kirsten. She's pretty much parked there, and now 320 miles basically. So he's creating another big gap there for Kirsten. So she'll have her challenges. 320, that's pretty much the run line for her. And then for Avalish, about 420, so 300 miles behind. Oh, we've cut the corner there. So if that was distorted there, probably 450. And the gap with Kirsten and Avalish is probably still about 120. Equivalents heading for the same spot. So if we now get rid of those comparisons and we'll start to look at what the breeze is going to do, we'll toggle this forward. So that's now, we'll bring it forward till about 12 hours from now. That's about 12 hours, so you'll see that's pretty good. Avalish has got breeze. Kirsten's got not as much breeze as Avalish, but she'll be moving again, and Simon's going to run out of breeze. He's going to be caught inshore there. There's some big currents in there too, so that will be interesting, but that's still quite a way, and he may well have tacked out by then. It's coming up, it's not night time. It's getting dark, so he's probably going to hold in. As soon as it gets dark, he'll actually probably tack offshore and tack across this, which should, you may see that happen. Anyway, we'll wait and see. So, but it's getting light in there. But 7 hours later, he's travelled a fair bit of ground, so he's already on his way out probably. Plenty of breeze coming for Kirsten and Avalish at last. And then Simon may stall there. He may just make it into headwinds. So, but either way, in this situation, he's not making Victor May good towards his desired track. Well, here's the run line. He's out here. Well, he could be doing all right. It's a bit hard to pick that one because he's right in there. So let's just see how it progresses. So there we are, 24 hours from now. And we'll go forward to the next day. I'm hoping Simon gets out of there, otherwise he'll be trapped. And then these guys are going to take it heavy or certainly Kirsten is going to take it heavy on the beam. She can't afford to go down south, and if she does, she's not in the no-go zone, but she has to leave that mark to starboard going round. So may have some challenges there, depends how long that heavy wind holds. This is the 36 hours from now. It's moving over pretty quick. And Simon looks like he might get bogged down there. You can see that big wind shadow at the bottom of New Zealand. He may be stuck in that. If he can get through and get out, he'll be sailing well. 36 hours. Let's say 36 hours, that's 100 miles. He may just get out of there. Oh yeah, he has every chance of possibly being on his way with that, but we'll have to wait and see. That will be interesting to watch. Meanwhile, Kirsten and Abelish have got good breeze going right through till coming up to 2 days ahead, and a little hiccup there, but Kirsten should be across here and Abelish should be across there by then as well. Then it's going to go light over here. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Simon there. Anyway, no big storms, just plenty of cool sailing. So now let's look at Captain Gugg. To tell you the truth, I've been watching that this afternoon because we're trying to make plans, and I'll explain what's going on here. I'll just build him up a bit more. He hasn't had much luck, but right now he's doing 2.6. He's actually taken off a little bit there, so there is a bit of breeze, but he's been fluffing around here with not much wind, and he's absolutely made landfall now. He sat there about 15 miles offshore, and you'd be looking at the coast here from 15 miles. So he's made his landfall, which is a good thing. And to give you a perspective on the distance to go to get to this point, there's 66 miles, and then up into the gate another 37, so a bit over 100 nautical miles to go, and straight line sailing in good weather, that's about a day turning around the coast. So we'll follow the weather through, and I'll show you what's probably going to happen. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. So 7 hours from now before the breeze fills in. So that's after midnight local time here, and he'll start sailing slowly. It's a nice breeze. He'll probably be doing about 4 knots on that. So by midnight tonight, he's gone nowhere. He's the same distance, so he'll have 100 miles to go. Then we've got 1 hour, 2 hours, 3, 4, probably 4 or 5 hours of really light sailing. 5, 6 hours, so he wouldn't be making 5 knots. So let's say he's going to do, even if he did make 5 knots, he's only going to do 30 miles. So 30 miles later, so that's by 6 o'clock in the morning, is about there. So 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, he's going to be just off the southern tip of Tassie. Okay, that's 6 o'clock in the morning, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is really light winds. At 6, that's by midday. By midday, he's up here somewhere. Okay, middle of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He could make it in by early evening or late in the afternoon tomorrow. That's if he's lucky, but it certainly develops into a very good sailing breeze. He'll put everything up, he's stay sail and all the rest of it. So for now we'll put him on 1 hourly now, and you can follow him all the way in, and we'll all be on standby to meet him. So I think it'll be later rather than sooner for a couple of reasons, but actually the weather forecast has changed in the last 4 hours. The last time I looked, it's 4 hours. So if we go in a little bit here, the breeze is holding all the way up to the gate. 4 hours ago it was predicting to be a big hole there, but that's holding the breeze all the way through until it could be okay. So it looks like it's going to be very late tomorrow, and we'll start running some ETAs. I might do one. Probably the first one will be in about 12 hours from now. So that's early morning our time here in Hobart. Okay, that's about it. So have a good day, and we'll look forward to seeing Michael, Captain Gugg, sometime late tomorrow